I'm the background character in a novel you could call the Campus King's Secret Heart. I'm his roommate, the guy who runs interference, paid to swat away the endless swarm of his admirers. So when his gorgeous, notoriously high-maintenance childhood friend cornered me on the quad one day, shyly holding out a letter, I knew the drill. I slipped right into my role. Landon Vance isn't into your type, I said, my voice flat. It's a cardinal rule of these cliché love triangles. The childhood friend never beats the sweet, innocent new girl. I was expecting her to burst into tears and run off to cause some drama for the main characters. Instead, her delicate fingers lifted the flap of the envelope. There, in elegant cursive, was my name, Jason Carter. Staring at the brilliant, blushing girl in front of me, I felt nothing. Great, I thought. Number 12 this month. You're looking for Landon, right? I was getting impatient, ready to get this over with. He's not interested in your type. Sorry. Her perfectly sculpted eyebrows furrowed. Am I not pretty enough? He likes the sweet, innocent type. Do your homework next time. I sighed, feeling like a failed matchmaker. You're beautiful, but you don't look. Simple. Get it? I laid it on thick. This was usually the part where they cried and ran off. I mentally counted down the seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. What about you? Is this your type? I blinked. Okay, a new tactic. What does it matter what I like? I snapped back, in no mood for whatever convoluted game this was. It matters. I'm here for you. She smiled, and it was the kind of smile that hit a nerve deep inside me, the kind that signaled I was dealing with someone who wouldn't give up easily. But I'm a pro. The official cleanup crew, the guy who's deflected 300 girls for Landon in the past year. I gave her a cold smirk, ready to pull out my ultimate weapon, my phone. I hit record, audio and video, my 1-2 punch of social annihilation. Unfazed, she simply opened the letter and held it out. Then, with the dramatic flair of a seasoned actress, she said, I like you, Jason. My eyes darted down to my own uninspired name on the page, and I nearly stumbled. Should I read the letter for you? She asked, her face a mask of concern. No, I blurted, waving my hands. I finally collected myself enough to ask. Who exactly are you? Sierra Winters. My eyes went wide. That name. It was the quintessential name for a main character's childhood sweetheart. This was the Sierra Winters, Landon Vance's childhood friend. That's right. I live in a book called The Campus King's Secret Heart. I'm the main character's sidekick and a background extra rolled into one. A sidekick because we're roommates, so we're always seen together. An extra because I have no love interest, not even a minor supporting role. Every time I walked across campus with Landon, we'd attract a crowd. None of them were for me. It messed with my head for a while. I'm not a bad-looking guy, a little taller than Landon, even, but it was like I was invisible. Except, of course, when they needed a delivery boy for their love letters. I felt a little better after I figured out I was just living in a story, and Landon was always off with his innocent little girlfriend, a million miles away from my life. Anyway, being liked is nice, but why did it have to be the main guy's childhood flame? I just heard last week that she was back from a year abroad, ready to reclaim what was hers, a move that had sent Landon's official girlfriend, Molly, into a spiral of quiet tears. The two of them had been in a dramatic push and pull for days, which, of course, only made their bond stronger. I got now. She was trying to use me to make Landon jealous. I rejected her, my voice firm with righteousness. You're really saying no? Sierra asked, her eyes downcast, the picture of disappointment. Plenty of fish in the sea, Sierra. You don't need to hang yourself up on one tree, I said, trying to gently hint that she and Landon were a dead end. I know, but you're the only one I like. My mouth twitched. So, can you just have dinner with me? Just once? She asked, looking utterly pitiful. To help me feel a little better, I went. But I have principles. I wasn't about to create any kind of romantic atmosphere. I took her to the campus dining hall. The place was a chaotic symphony of shouting students and clattering trays. I grabbed my food and saw she'd saved 2 seats right next to each other. Awkward. I defiantly sat at a corner table by myself and dug in. Wow, you can really eat, Sierra said, her eyes crinkling as she sat down across from me. A shiver went down my spine. Sierra, let's not. We barely know each other. She giggled, cover her mouth. You're so direct. It's kind of charming. What kind of weird logic was that? In the middle of the standoff, I heard the voice of my dear roommate, Landon Vance. And with him, his sweet, innocent girlfriend, Molly Hayes. They looked like they'd been fighting again. They were walking with this bizarre, mismatched gait, but their hands were locked together so tightly no one could get past them. He looked pissed. She looked wounded. And then, right there by the pizza station, the campus king pinned the innocent girl against the wall and kissed her, hard. I averted my eyes, disgusted. I heard Sierra roll her eyes so loud it was practically a shout. Scheming bitch. I nearly choked on my food. Was she always this direct? I guess that's what happens when you grow up in the same elite circles. God, get a room, she muttered to me, leaning closer. They're blocking the whole aisle. Like they want everyone to see them. Right, Jason? A decent person would have told her to knock it off. I'm not a decent person. They could definitely use some self-awareness, I said, calmly wiping my mouth. But speak of the devil, and he shall appear. I heard that deep, main character voice right behind me. Jason, you're here. Then a pause. Sierra? Landon sounded genuinely surprised. Landon, honey, it's been a while. I was the only one in agony. God, why was I, a normal person, stuck between these ridiculously dramatic main characters? It made my perfectly normal name feel so limp. Jason. Molly whispered my name. I ignored her, slinging my backpack over my shoulder and affecting a cool demeanor. Got stuff this afternoon. I'm out. Molly's eyes reddened as she tugged on Landon's sleeve. His girl was upset, so he didn't have time for pleasantries. He immediately whisked her away to go deepen their connection or whatever. As I was walking back, he texted me. Sierra came looking for me. It's tough having her so hung up on me. She must have tracked you down to get to me. For old time's sake, be nice when you let her down. Landon always assumed every girl who came near me was actually aiming for him. He looked down on his admirers, but also basked in the attention. That's why he always had me do the dirty work of rejecting them. He got the ego boost. I got the angry glares. Over time, Landon remained the untouchable, desirable prize, while I became known as the campus Grim Reaper. I smirked and texted back, I'll try. I wasn't doing this for free. $200 a pop, settled weekly. Sierra caught up to me, breathless, and handed me a bottle of water. Jason, why didn't you wait for me? I almost couldn't find you. I looked her dead in the eye, my expression blank. The show's over. You can go home now, Miss Winters. You think I asked you to dinner just to run into Landon? Realization dawned on her face, and she said, earnestly, I'm not acting. I'm pursuing you. Can't you tell? Right, I scoffed. If you don't believe me, you could try going on a few dates with me, she said with a wink. Not necessary, Sierra. I paused. I'm just a regular guy. I don't want to get involved in whatever games you people play. Famous last words. The next morning, I got a text from Sierra. She was waiting for me outside the men's dorm and wasn't leaving until I came down. The entire building's gossip mill would be churning out stories by the minute. I threw on a pair of jeans over my boxers, my hair mess. I like being acknowledged, but not like this, not as entertainment. I never should have Venmo'd her for that drink last night. That's how she got my contact info. Where to? I asked, my face grim as we stood by the main gate. Movie, she asked, smiling brightly. You want to see a movie at 8 in the morning? I said, incredulous. Are you training for marathon or going on a date? So you know we're on a date. My face remained a stone mask. I have an idea. I took her to the library, the one place on campus where everyone had to be silent, a place completely devoid of romantic allure, a place designed to kill the mood. Then I opened my laptop and started coding, losing myself in the lines of text. Sierra grabbed a book of poetry from a shelf and started reading, completely unfazed. I pushed myself, coding for 3 straight hours. That had to be enough to make her give up. Around 11, I finished my work and sent it off to the client. When I looked up from my screen, Sierra was asleep, slumped over the table. Her face was turned toward me, her hair veiling one side of her delicate face. Her lips were parted slightly. I looked away and nudged her with my elbow. Is class over? She mumbled, disoriented. It's Saturday. There are no classes. I had a headache. I had to be the first guy in history to bore a girl to sleep on a date. Oh, I'm starving. Can we get food, Jason? She whispered. I didn't eat breakfast. You haven't eaten breakfast? I nearly shouted, my voice cracking. A wave of guilt washed over me, and I ended up taking her out to eat again. She tried to drag me to some exclusive private dining club, but I refused. I would only go to public places with her, where there were other people. My treat. Pick any place in the mall, under $100 a person. I wasn't embarrassed. I didn't have a lot of money. My world was miles away from the one Sierra and Landon lived in. If it weren't for the cash, I wouldn't be running around doing Landon's dirty work. You're so generous, she chirped, grabbing my sleeve, her eyes sparkling. I knew better than to take a comment like that to heart. The private restaurant Sierra wanted to go to probably cost thousands per person. The price of that lunch was several more days of being stuck with her. She insisted on treating me back, messaging me every day to get food. If I didn't reply, she'd just stand outside my dorm, completely indifferent to the stares. It got to the point where the dorm's front desk security guard knew her by name. To kill her interest, I kept taking her to the most unromantic places imaginable. The library, study halls, the dining hall, the track at dawn. I even took her to the coffee shop where I work part-time. It wasn't a cozy, romantic gesture. I made her watch me work. A coffee shop might be romantic, but a date with the guy grinding beans behind the counter? Not so much. This has to be the final nail in the coffin, I thought a little smugly. I brought a coffee and a small cake over to her table. As I watched for her reaction, I felt a strange knot of nervousness in my stomach. Wow, you made a heart with the foam, Sierra exclaimed, loud enough for a few people to look over. I knew you had a soft spot for me. Mistake. Let me get you another one, I said coolly, turning to walk away. Wait, she said, grabbing my arm. She quickly took a sip, choking on a little. It was kind of dorky. Jason, I feel like we just got one step closer, she said with genuine emotion. Wait, what? This was the opposite of what I wanted. A wave of frustration washed over me. Then, like a magician, she produced a beautifully wrapped gift bag. It was a present for me. A portable electric razor that cost a couple $100 and a Lego set. Both things I could actually afford myself. The thought is what counts, not the price, she said, her eyes shining like they held constellations. I've had so much fun with you these past few days. And you even brought me here. It's a wonderful surprise. Please take it. Sometimes I think I'm a total hypocrite. Walking back to my dorm with that gift, I was practically floating. Every guy I passed gave me a knowing smirk. The bag was obviously from a girl. Looks like Carter's got something going on. Get your mind out of the gutter, I muttered. I walked straight into my dorm room. A couple of guys immediately crowded around. Whoa, a Phillips Norelco, Trent Bishop sneered. Looks like the poor kid landed a sugar mama. Trent. His name fit him perfectly. He was a first-class jerk. Landon was standing nearby. He gave me a lazy, dismissive glance. If you're short on cash, you could have just asked me. You don't need to use a girl. My blood ran cold. I hadn't worked for him in weeks, but the rich kid still saw me as his property. I didn't say anything. I just sat down at my desk and told him, just as casually, I'm doing this year's project solo. Landon froze, his expression turning ugly. The room went silent. Phone screens lit up as the gossip started spreading. Last year, Landon and I were partners on a project. I did all the work from start to finish, while Landon was too busy being lovesick over Molly to contribute anything meaningful. He told me to be understanding. I was. And when the project was done, his name was listed first. He got famous with a few key professors, won the prize money, and was offered a spot on a prestigious research team. I fought it, but no one saw me. He had the reputation, the wealthy family. Of course, he had to be the brilliant one. Even Landon just accepted it as his due. This time, I was going to see if my work could stand on its own without him. Molly came to find me. Sierra and I were in a study hall at the time. I looked up and saw her standing at the door, looking pitiful and anxious. Sierra had fallen asleep again. I quietly closed my laptop and stepped outside. I heard you and Landon had a fight. She began, her voice small, but her tone self-righteous. Landon's just looking out for you. He really sees you as his best friend. Please don't fight with him. He really cares about you. I wasn't that bothered, but now that you mention it, I didn't cut her any slack. So stealing someone's credit is looking out for them. What did you major in? Advanced gaslighting. You got some nerve. Molly's eyes instantly filled with tears, but that act didn't work on me. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my sleeve. Just as I was about to yank my arm away, another hand slapped hers off. There's a line, you know. Sierra was there, a fake smile plastered on her face. Wow, Jason, you're pretty popular. Jason, are you still mad at me for what happened? They both started talking at once. I had no idea who to brush off first. Who else would he be mad at? Sierra suddenly turned fierce, rounding on Molly. You used him to get close to Landon, made him help you pay off Landon's debt, running around like an idiot for you. And all you have to do is say sorry and walk away? You're like a toad trying to eat swan meat. That's not really how that idiom works. She shot me a glare, then turned back to Molly with a threat. If you ever bother Jason again, I'll have Landon over here in a second. Molly walked away, her chin held high in stubborn defiance. That left Sierra and me staring at each other. You've done your research on me, I finally managed to say. Well, when you're pursuing someone, you have to be prepared. Her smile was back, but there was a hint of nervousness behind it. I didn't let my pride get in the way. I looked down. Thanks. I don't know what Molly told Landon, but for someone who usually couldn't string two sentences of an explanation together, she somehow got him to swallow his pride and come find me. On the roof of the science building, he stood there with a cigarette between his lips, his expression dark and moody, trying so hard to look like a brooding adult. I rolled my eyes internally. Jason, stop this, he said, as if he were making a great concession. I was wrong this time. Don't be childish. He made it sound like I was throwing a tantrum. And dude, wasn't that line from a bad breakup movie? Fine, I said with a smile. but a lot of people have approached me about partnering on the project. First come, first served. I can't just turn them down. Landon's brow furrowed. Who? We've been friends for years. Who's trying to poach? Trent Bishop. Trent was another rich kid, an illegitimate son who got his kicks from mocking people. He was an equal opportunity offender, and Landon was no exception. He was even more vicious with Landon, calling him a blind man playing in traffic. Landon went silent. Before he left, he asked one more thing. How's the Sierra situation? Did you get rid of her? She's not bothering Molly anymore, right? Just keep her away from me and Molly. She won't be a problem. She's given up. Landon snorted, his gaze arrogant. That woman. It's for the best. That evening, I walked Sierra back to her dorm. She was happily skipping along, holding a few tulips. They're just a few cheap flowers from the farmer's market. Calm down. But I'm so happy. I've never been to an American farmer's market before. It was so much fun, like discovering a new level in a video game. She got tired and sat down on a bench. Come on, let's get you back so you can rest. But I want to spend more time with you. I stood there awkwardly. Don't say things like that. It doesn't work on me. She pulled me down to sit beside her. Then she leaned in close, her warm breath making me feel dizzy, lost in some strange, intoxicating atmosphere. I pulled away. You're no fun. We're not in that kind of relationship, I said, turning my face away. Oof. She fiddled with her purse for a moment, then held her pale wrist out to me. Smell it. A faint, elegant scent drifted up. I usually get headaches from perfume, but this one was surprisingly pleasant. Why? I don't like perfume. It makes me dizzy. I pushed her hand away. It's hand cream dummy, she said, leaning in again, her lips pouting. She was getting annoyed. Okay, it doesn't stink. She turned her head away, ignoring me, but left her hand hovering in the air between us. I slowly took it. She didn't pull back. Her fingers intertwined with mine. The air grew thick with unspoken things. Someone had to break the silence. So, are we doing this? A blush crept up her neck and onto her cheeks. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I couldn't deny the spark I felt in that moment. But I wasn't stupid. A guy who spent his life in someone else's shadow, constantly overlooked. Why would a girl he's never met suddenly fall for him? Sierra had an agenda. What do you want? If her terms were reasonable, I wouldn't say no. I was in a little too deep already. Our joined hands trembled slightly as I tried to sound calm. Sierra was quiet for a long time. The blush on her face faded. I can fund your project. All you have to do is be my boyfriend. So, emotions could be a bargaining chip, laid out on the table just like that. I let go of her hand. My palm was sweating. I didn't answer, but I cut to the heart of it. You want to get back at him, right? But this won't make him see you. The thought was unspoken, but it hung between us. Just like no one sees me but you. So are you in? She suddenly smiled, her cool fingers touching my cheek. I had a girlfriend, and it was a humiliating way to start a relationship. Being rivals with a guy I hated, a rival I had no chance of beating. My hormones had clearly taken over my brain, letting her win me over with a few simple words. I could already picture myself making a sad TikTok in a few months, lip-syncing to some breakup anthem. Sierra treated me the same as always, but I couldn't be as nonchalant as her. I fulfilled my duties as a boyfriend, but poured every other ounce of my energy into my project. Without Landon holding me back, my project moved forward smoothly. With the experience from last year, I even caught the attention of the R&D departments of a few corporations that partnered with the university. Sierra connected me with some of their top executives. Without Landon's main character halo effect, I was no longer in the background. For the first time, I made an impression. Hearing their praise felt like coming back to life. A weight lifted off my shoulders. I never cared if people liked me or not. I just needed a chance. But I still hadn't asked Sierra when her plan was supposed to kick in. I casually asked about Landon and found out he was looking miserable. Another fight with Molly, apparently. One night, when he was drunk, he brought up Sierra, his words slurring into a bitter rant. Molly really thinks she's some kind of prize. If Sierra showed up right now, I wouldn't say no to hooking up with her. I accidentally spilled my drink on his face. A few days later, Sierra took me to an upscale, elegant lounge. We're meeting my brother, she said, her eyes dancing. Okay, stay calm. This isn't what you think it is. It's just business. Sierra's brother, Miles Winters, was a high-level executive with a perpetual smile. I was on high alert, expecting a corporate grilling, but he just asked a few simple questions with no intention of digging deeper. It was strange. Sierra was beaming, simply telling her brother that I was her boyfriend. The whole thing felt like a casual family dinner, until I excused myself to go to the restroom and ended up circling back to pay the bill. Outside the private room, I heard them talking. Sierra, please tell me you're not just with him because he's good-looking again. He's more handsome than Landon, sure, but he looks kind of intense. Is he good to you? Miles, it's not like that. He's incredibly talented. If our company doesn't lock him down now, someone else will snatch him up. He seems okay with you, but it feels like he's holding back. Don't get in too deep. That's because Sierra's voice dropped to a whisper. I, Leet? Otherwise, wouldn't have agreed. He's really guarded. He wouldn't have believed me otherwise. But he's so good to me, really. Just be smart about this. Are you sure? No regrets. No regrets. I pushed the door open. The car's here, I said, as if I hadn't heard a thing. Miles had driven himself. He casually told the hostess to put the bill on his tab, then looked at me with surprise. I held the car door open for Sierra without looking back. Jason, are you going to the reception tonight? The investors invited you, she said, twirling one of my fingers in hers. I enclosed her hand in mine, my palm warm. I'll go with you. I had expected Landon to lose his composure when he saw me with Sierra. I just hadn't expected him to lose it this spectacularly. He knocked over an entire champagne tower, his face a mask of disbelief, his eyes blazing with fury. I told you to get rid of her. This is how you get rid of her. Is there a problem? You never specified how. I said lightly. You said you wanted Sierra out of your face. She gave up on you. She's with me. And now you have a problem with it? You didn't want her, but I do. He was seething, his finger trembling as he pointed at me. I didn't tell you to get her into your bed. A dirty mind sees dirt everywhere, I said, my expression hardening. We're a lot cleaner than you are. Then how did you get in here? Without Sierra, you think you'd have the connections to be her date at an event like this? He sneered. You're like a dog, picking up my scraps. And you're a dog who can't speak like a human. Sierra was never yours to begin with. You're the one who wants to have his cake, and eat it too. You're so narcissistic you think everyone's in love with you. A few guys in suits heard the commotion and walked over, glancing from Landon to me. A smug look crossed Landon's face. The rich kid club always stuck together. But he'd forgotten one thing. Tonight's reception wasn't for the old guard. It was for the new blood. After a moment of observation, they all turned to me. You're Jason Carter, from the new open-source project, right? I nodded. They quickly swarmed me, handing me business cards and introducing themselves. Across the room, Landon's face had turned a shade of sickly green. He looked utterly dumbfounded, and when he saw Mr. Winters introducing me to his own father, he stormed out, choking on his rage. This Carter kid is really something, one of the titans of the industry joked. It's strange. I'm sure I've seen your name on papers before. Why can't I remember you? These guys ruled the business world. I knew better than to take their flattery at face value. You're too kind, sir. You're a busy man. It's only natural you wouldn't remember a small fry like me. I replied, my tone respectful but not subservient. A real diamond in the rough. You have a bright future, young man. I knew this was the recognition I had earned. I was finally being seen, finally feeling the current of my own destiny in my hands. Sierra was on my arm as we left the reception. When Landon had started making trouble, I'd had someone pull her away, not wanting her to get dragged in. She only found out what happened after it was over. I heard you were defending me the whole time. You sounded pretty fierce. Thanks, boyfriend. I'm the one who should be thanking you, I said, squeezing her hand as we walked. A genuine smile spread across my face. Whatever Sierra's motives were, she had helped me. She'd pulled me out of the shadows and onto a tangible, sunlit path. My identity, my dignity, my pride, it was all coming back. I was no longer the person whose spine was about to snap from the pressure. I was truly alive again. She was giddy with happiness, leaning in to whisper something in my ear when a discreet black sedan pulled up beside us, the window slowly rolling down. It revealed Landon's face, dark and shadowed, just like mine used to be. Sierra, don't forget, we still have an arrangement between our families. It's fine to play around, but getting serious would be a mistake. The lightness in my chest vanished. I watched her silently. So that was it. No wonder Landon was so sure she belonged to him. Jason, don't misunderstand. Who wants to marry him? A broken pot for a cracked lid. Landon, don't flatter yourself. Sierra shot back viciously. You really think everyone is just a flea, dying to worship at your feet? Pfft. Landon sped off, furious. We walked in silence for a while. Sierra kept looking like she wanted to say something. I turned my head, my profile half swallowed by the darkness. What are you getting so worked up about? You knew about them from the start. Childhood sweethearts. Even if their story wasn't a fairy tale romance, it was destined to be a messy, drawn-out drama. And it just so happened that I was the one getting hurt. Landon Vance and Sierra Winters. Main characters by birth. Their names, their looks, their family backgrounds. All a perfect match. They were always going to end up married. We walked back to the hotel under the quiet moonlight, which shattered on the pavement like gold dust. Jason, we did have one of those. Childhood pack things. But I don't like him at all. I'm not going to marry him. In the original book, Landon had a fiancée who was never mentioned. You just knew he had a childhood friend, an innocent girlfriend, and a legion of admirers. It wasn't until Landon and the innocent girl's relationship fell apart that he went back and married his fiancée. Then, at the wedding, he realized he couldn't let the other girl go and left his bride at the altar to find Molly. And that fiancée was my girlfriend. It's okay. I knew about you too from the beginning. The words were hard to get out. If a man couldn't handle a little setback like this, what good was he? I had jumped into this mess with my eyes open. It was my own fault if I couldn't get out. Sierra looked at me, her eyes wide with surprise. She seemed to think for a long time before she wrapped her arms around me, her voice muffled against my chest. Okay, I'll come clean. This world, it's actually a book, and I'm not from here. Her words hit me like a bolt of lightning. You're from another world? I was stunned. This was even more absurd than my own situation. I was born into it, she said with an embarrassed smile. I only remembered everything this year after I hit my head. That's why I was so stupidly chasing after Landon when he didn't even like me. And the reason I approached you was because I knew from the start that you were a good person. Oh, thanks a lot, I said through gritted teeth. Seeing that I wasn't completely freaking out, Sierra let out a breath and continued softly. You know, in the book, my ending wasn't very good. In the original story, Sierra, the childhood friend, lost to the new girl. She tried to frame her and was caught by Landon. Crushed, she fell into a deep depression. Later, Landon suddenly agreed to marry her. To reassure him, Sierra gave him compromising information about her family's business. But on their wedding day, he abandoned her, making her a laughingstock. To prove his love for the other girl, he then destroyed the Winters family. Sierra died, consumed by hatred. After this information dump, my eyelids started twitching. Who is the target audience for a book like that? But I have you, she said, her tone shifting, a cunning glint in her eyes. In the book, you were his right-hand man, the secret weapon no one knew about. So if I snagged you, you wouldn't be able to take me down. That actually made sense. I was that powerful. Of course. Without you, Jason, that scumbag is nothing, she said, laying on the flattery. So you were the hunter all along, I grunted. Now that Landon and I are enemies, what makes you so sure I won't betray you one day? I'm not like him. Her hand rested on my chest. He uses money. I use people. I use my heart. The moonlight filled her eyes. Hey, why are you blushing? She giggled. You're so innocent. I turned and pushed her hand away, walking ahead. Hey, Jason Carter. Sierra called from behind me. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't get with you to get revenge on him. I was into you from the very. I strode back and covered her mouth, my ears burning. I know. I'd already guessed most of it after overhearing her conversation with her brother outside the private room. When you spend your life living in someone else's shadow, no matter how nonchalant you act, you're insecure and suspicious underneath. You need a reason that makes sense, an explanation you expect, before you dare to reach for something you want, including a relationship. She didn't just like me. She understood me better than I understood myself. Something soft and wet pressed against my palm. My brain short-circuited. Sierra, where do you learn all these ways to tease people? But you love it, she said, cupping her face and grinning. You know, you've never really asked about me, she said, batting her eyelashes. I was abroad for 2 years. Aren't you worried I'm some kind of experienced heartbreaker? Why would I ask about your past? My voice was low. I care more about whether we have a future. Ooh. So what was the deal with you and that Molly Hayes girl? I froze. The moment of reckoning had arrived. The book didn't say, but when I looked into it, all I found was that you helped her pay off a debt and work for that jerk because of her. But I've never seen you two interact on campus, she said, playing detective. Don't tell me you had a crush on her. Unrequited love curdled into hate, she huffed indignantly. Why is this plot so full of cliches? You're overthinking it, Sierra. I hesitated for a moment. Molly is my distant cousin. When we started college, Molly had barely scraped by on her acceptance score. Her parents, worried she wouldn't be able to keep up, asked me to look after her. They said she was frail and timid. My parents were divorced, and I came to school on my own. Her family had given me a ride. So, when Molly came to me in tears after accidentally denting the hood of Landon's car, my heart softened and I agreed to help her pay for the damages. I never imagined she'd done it on purpose. She knew I was his roommate and used it to get close to him. The sweet, innocent girl insisted on paying him back. The campus king was moved by her fragile determination, and I was the one working my ass off to cover the debt. Molly never said a word, never offered a single explanation. Her excuse was that she couldn't let a rich guy look down on her. That makes me so mad. Sierra wrapped her arms around my waist, her voice fierce. If I ever run into that fake, manipulative little snake again, I'll destroy her. That might be a bit much. We live in a civilized society. The next day, Molly showed up. She was a mess, sobbing about how badly Landon was treating her. I poured her a cup of tea with a polite smile, tuning her out completely. All I heard was blah, blah, blah. If I had known he'd be like this, I would have just gotten together with you back then, she declared petulantly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You can say a lot of things, but not that. Gotten together with me back then? So I was your backup plan all along? I laughed, a humorless, angry sound. Molly, you called me here for something important, and this is the crap you're spewing? And don't get cocky. My standards aren't that low. Landon might fall for you, but I never would. Molly looked like she was about to faint from rage, her face flushing red and pale in turns. Jason, how can you be so cruel? I'm just a girl. Molly, when you dumped a $37,000 repair bill on me, did you ever stop to think that I was just a broke college kid with $3,000 in the bank? The sound of steady footsteps approached from a distance. Suddenly, Molly's whole demeanor shifted into a performance. Her eyes went wide, tears streamed down her face, and she lunged forward, grabbing the hand I was holding my teacup with. Jason, she cried, heartbroken, let's be together. Just as the words left her mouth, Landon's cold voice came from behind me. Molly, you got a lot of nerve. You hear that, Sierra? This is how they discussed me behind my back. You still think this boyfriend of yours is loyal to you? Molly's tear-filled eyes shot toward me with a flicker of disbelief. She didn't know I had a girlfriend. It was a perfect trap, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. A truly matched pair. They could win Oscars for this performance. Sierra feigned a look of shock, covering her mouth as she looked between us. Then she walked over to me and pointed at the cake on my plate. What are you eating? Tiramisu? You didn't even invite me, you monster. She slid into the seat next to me, completely ignoring the toxic atmosphere. Give me a bite. Sierra. A vein bulged on Landon's forehead. Didn't you see him meeting with my girlfriend behind your back? You're still going to stay with a guy like that. Landon, don't misunderstand. Jason was just. Molly trailed off, biting her lip. And just like that, I was thoroughly implicated. Great. They'd claimed the moral high ground. Waiter, check please. I called out, my expression blank as I launched a counterattack. Put on her tab. She owes me money anyway. Jason. Molly cried, horrified. How could you do this to me? Pay your debts. It's the law of the universe, Sierra added with a menacing look. Don't pay your debts, and I'll break your legs. Molly flinched. Sierra, you're defending him? Landon, honey, are you confused? Sierra said, holding a spoonful of cake, her face a picture of innocence. I just happened to be passing by and came over with you. My boyfriend and I were already planning to meet here. Molly contacted me first. I sent you the call logs and text history. I added calmly, deploying my final move. I'm full. I want some panna cotta now. Let's go, Jason. I took a napkin, wiped her mouth, and led her away. As we left, she leaned over and gave me a loud smooch on the cheek, leaving Landon and his sobbing girlfriend frozen in place, looking like they'd both eaten something foul. So, a little too sweet, I said, analyzing the aftertaste. Not the cake. She playfully punched my arm, looking incredibly smug. My timing was perfect, wasn't it? Thank God we had a habit of keeping each other updated on our plans. And I'd had a feeling Molly was up to something. Otherwise, we would have been the ones left looking like fools. Absolutely brilliant. She doubled over laughing for a good minute before turning serious and telling me I should move in with her. No, don't be so modest. Sierra huffed. You've completely pissed off that scumbag now. He's definitely going to come after you. Besides, it's not convenient to work on your project in the dorm. I'll get my own place. I'll probably be traveling a lot for the project anyway. It's safer for you to stay on campus. Fine. Now that my work was generating income, I wasn't broke anymore. I rented a decent-sized 2-bedroom apartment near campus. Sierra came over every day. If she was tired, she'd stay the night. The sofa, the study, the bedroom, traces of her were everywhere. Looking around my apartment one day, filled with her things, I couldn't help but sigh. How is this any different from living together? As expected, Landon tried to get me blacklisted in the industry. I heard the Vance family sent gifts to all the top guys in R&D. But what did that have to do with me? Landon didn't know I was a double major. I never planned on research being my only path. Corporate job or startup? Sierra chewed on the end of her pen. Starting a business is exhausting, Jason. Why don't you just come work for my family's company? She was here on a 1-year exchange and will be going back abroad next year. If I started a company, I'd barely have any time to spend with her. Okay, my life became a whirlwind. I was juggling corporate responsibilities, monetizing my existing research, and going back to campus for dates with my girlfriend. I was drowning in work. Sometimes I couldn't make it, and she would come to find me instead. I felt guilty, but Sierra was also starting to prepare for her return abroad. I forgot to mention, Sierra's a music performance major. She signed up for several national competitions. Before one of her performances, I saw Landon backstage, cornering her. He was wearing a single red rose on his suit lapel. Sierra, I regret it. I shouldn't have ignored your feelings for me. Our families already have an agreement. We're supposed to be together, aren't we? Was this the original plot kicking in, or had this guy really had a change of heart? He has nothing. He's boring and clueless. I heard he doesn't even take you on real dates. The library, your part-time job? How is that treating you well? Are your eyes plastered over with cement? Where do you see him having nothing or not treating me well? Sierra retorted. He spent all the money he made from coding on taking me out to dinner. He made me a special latte with a heart in it at his part-time job. He brings me a huge bouquet of roses after every single performance. You talk a big game about us being together, but let's not even get into whether I like you. You're cheap, all talk, and you do nothing but badmouth him to me. Has the money you've spent on me even reached 0? 1% of your net worth. You show up with one wilted flower like you're doing me a favor. I'd have to be blind to even consider you. Our family arrangement. Landon's tone turned menacing. I had my brother cancel that ages ago. Stop disgusting me, you scumbag. Sierra turned on her heel and stalked away, the long train of her gown swishing behind her. I stepped in, caught the train, and helped her carry it properly. She beamed and threw her arms around me. Do I look beautiful today? You look stunning. Like an angel. I'll tell you about that whole scumbag situation after my performance, she said, tracing my brow, a hint of guilt in her eyes. We'll talk later. Sierra was a brilliant musician. Even among a host of talented competitors, she stood out. The moment she finished, the hall erupted in thunderous applause. The judges looked thoroughly impressed. I'm done. Jason, what happened to your lip? It's bleeding, she exclaimed, standing on her toes to inspect my face. It's nothing. Got into a fight with Landon. Told him to stop bothering you. She looked shocked. I didn't know you could be so childish, Jason. Weren't you the one talking about civilized society? Psychopaths are an exception. Looks like you won, she giggled. So what's my prize? Prize? I haven't even settled the score with you yet. I raised an eyebrow. He's been cornering you like this for a while. Why didn't you tell me? My mood dipped. Sierra leaned in and kissed me. I just felt like it was something I needed to handle myself, she said, her eyes soft as she insisted on meeting my gaze. Whether I was with someone or not, I was always going to break things off with him. Just like whether there was an arrangement or not. I was always going to fall for you. You're the only one I chose for myself, Jason. Okay. I'd been sufficiently placated. A man has to know when to let things go. By the way, Jason, you fought him. Aren't you afraid he's going to make trouble for you? I used my secret weapon. Sierra understood instantly. Landon cared about his image more than anything. I had video and audio of him making a fool of himself. No matter how angry he got, he wouldn't dare make a move. That trick is undefeated. After summer started, Landon began working at his family's company. He found out what projects I was in charge of and made it his mission to oppose me at every turn. He even resorted to slander, using the project he'd stolen credit for to build his own reputation and snatch a major investor from me. Unfortunately for him, he'd had zero actual involvement in that project. Anyone with a basic understanding of it could see his business proposal was a complete disaster. The investor was furious and chose to pay the breach of contract penalty just to get out of the deal. I contacted them that same night and submitted my own portfolio, complete with a detailed preliminary plan for the project I wanted. I landed the partnership. The deal was projected to be worth over $100 million. With the Winters family's backing, I was promoted at lightning speed. During that time, Molly tried to contact me again. I refused to see her. I knew what she wanted, to use my new status to get Landon back. I had someone secretly guide her to the exclusive club Landon frequented. There, she accidentally overheard him trashing her to his sycophantic friends. As I'd hoped, Molly was completely crushed. Maybe she had a shred of conscience left because she never bothered me again. As September approached, I flew to London to see Sierra at her final competition. Standing on that stage, she was like a rising star. It was time for her to go. Without the constraints of the novel's plot, her dream had always been to be a world-class musician. I couldn't hold her back. On her last day, I took a leave from the office, shifting my work online so I could spend the day with her. Why aren't you trying to convince me to stay? She mumbled in my chest, her eyes red. You don't love me anymore, do you? You're just waiting for me to leave so you can find someone else. Her irrational accusations were just a mask for her insecurity. I'm starting my own company. Oh, that means I'm going to be incredibly busy. And I'll still have to video chat with you for an hour every day. I'll probably just come home and pass out. I won't have the energy for anyone else. Really, she muttered. But I can't stand being in a long-distance relationship. I'll just have to arrange more international partnerships, so I have an excuse to come see you, and I'll cook for you. You promise. A smile finally broke through. We held each other on the sofa, quietly soaking in each other's presence, the air thick with a deep, unspoken affection. 3 years later, Sierra no longer traveled the world for competitions. Her skill and the accolades she'd already won spoke for themselves. My business had also stabilized. In the early days, the Vance family still caused some trouble, but with the Winters' backing, I held on. Now, the assets my company controlled were unshakable. My business strategy aligned perfectly with the Winters Corporation, and Miles had always been a supporter, leading to numerous mutually beneficial collaborations. My instincts were sharp, and I never fought a battle I couldn't win. Gradually, the Winters' influence grew, eclipsing the Vances. Sierra decided to return to the States to open a studio in the city dedicated to teaching kids with musical aspirations, with a scholarship fund for families who couldn't afford tuition. I was her first investor. Life had fallen into place. Those with ambition had reached the top through their own hard work. Those who relied on others had scraped their privileged knees on the hard pavement of reality. After Landon made a mess of things at his family's company, his father exiled him to a subsidiary to learn the ropes. I heard he tried to get back with Molly, but she turned him down. He lost his confidence, drifting aimlessly, completely stripped of his former main character swagger. While he stagnated, Molly went all in on academia, earning her Ph.D. and finding a new passion. A future with him was impossible. I saw Landon again when our two companies were negotiating a partnership. He was the client. I was the provider. How the tables had turned. I had no intention of reminiscing, but he took it as a personal insult, especially when he saw Trent Bishop standing next to me. Trent. His voice cracked. You mixed up with him now? He asked it like he had a right to know, but Trent was Trent. Mr. Vance, are you here to do comedy? You look down on our company, yet here you are, begging for a partnership. Did you have a personality transplant? Learning to play hard to get. Seeing Landon's face contort in humiliation, I cleared my throat, signaling them to back off. I didn't need him having a heart attack and blaming it on me. After graduation, Trent had skipped the family business and carpet bomb tech companies with his resume. He'd accidentally landed at mine and became a key employee. He was a pain in the ass, but he was damn good at his job. Otherwise, I would have pulled strings to get him fired long ago. Trent instantly shifted gears, putting on a professional smile and glad-handing the others in the room. Landon, swallowing his pride, conceded 3 percentage points at the negotiating table before we finally reached a deal. I told Sierra about it when I got home, and she couldn't stop laughing. By the way, Jason, you still have him at my father. Just you and him. Suddenly I'm a little nervous. What are you afraid of? You made him so much money over the last 2 years. He'll be thrilled to see you. She was curled up against me, managing things for her studio on a tablet. It's different, I said, holding a newspaper I wasn't reading. The context is different now. It's fine. I'll be right there with you. Unless you don't like this new context. Sierra grinned, hooking her arms around my neck with mock menace. She was adorable. I pulled her tighter, my breath warm on the back of her neck as my fingers laced through hers. Sierra, her body went soft, her voice a little husky. I love you. If you didn't love me by now, I'd throw you in the ocean to feed the fish, she said, her tone arrogant, but filled with the certainty that I'd never do anything of the sort. Okay. Laughter spilled out of our embrace. I could hear the surging sound of the tide, rising from deep within my heart, flowing into a great, endless ocean. Sierra, let's get married.